Hey guys! So, I've decided to do another tutorial-ish type of video on how I usually work with a reference. Well, basically how I draw when I have a reference. Yeah. So, I have picked out a picture here of my own horse, Calypso, or C as I usually call him. And right now I've already started to pick out the colors that I want to use, but I thought that it might be a good idea to show you guys how I do it. So basically I try to match the colors in this like chart or whatever you could call it to, well, the shades that I can see in his face or his on the picture. I hope you get it. I'm tired. But I try to do that as good as I possibly can. And I know I can pick out colors like this, but I usually prefer trying to figure it out myself because that will help me when I work with like real life colors if I want to do some traditional art, because then I know what colors I should look for and stuff like that. I don't know how to explain it better, but yeah. But I try to like match them as good as I possibly can, and I will do the rest of the palette, and yeah, I will check in once I'm done with that. Okay, so I think that will do for now. I might add some colors once I start to work with the picture, but for now I think it's good. So I'm going to, well, create a new layer and start on the sketch, or the rough sketch, actually. So usually when I work with like either like it doesn't really matter if I do drawing with a reference or not, but when I have this pose or this position of the head, I usually start sketching like on the forehead, and I try to create the angle that, as you can see here, C has almost like Arabian type of face. You see, like, it's like this angle here. So I try to, I guess, create that angle and get it right. And like I said, this is a rough sketch, so it doesn't have to be perfect at all. And then I just try to kind of map out the proportions, if that makes sense. So I see how like this the size or the I don't know what to call it. I'm sorry. But I try to make it like I want the rough sketch to have somewhat the right proportions. So I try to make sure that they are somewhat similar. And I think that's good enough actually. So now actually I will start with the head first. I won't try to map out the neck and the body. I will just draw the head to start with. So now I look at the reference and I start on the forehead. And as you can see, C has a slight, I don't know what to call it, but a slight curve on the forehead. And I want to get the angle of that right. And you can also see like the other eye. That's another curve, and I want to get those two right from the beginning. So yeah. I think that's good enough. It's not perfect. And then I look at the reference again, and I can kind of see a line here, and I want to follow that line. And as you can see, it's like it goes up a bit. Before it slightly turns like down. And there we have this little bend here. Whoops. I will actually erase part of that line to even it out a bit. It's, we'll say good enough. So basically, when I draw with reference, I try to just take one part at a time. So like I started here with the forehead. Once that's done, I leave that. I go to the next area, and that was this line. I try to get that right. Then I go there. And you can see like here, it was kind of straight here, and then it dropped down a bit here. There. So that is kind of what I'm looking for when I work with reference. And I don't know if this makes sense at all, but I hope you kind of understand what I mean. I can see that it slightly goes out a bit here for the nostril. And that was too far out. So I kind of tried to see like, I usually don't add too much detail to the face in the beginning because first I want just the face to be mapped out before I start anything like any detailing on the face. I'm just but I like to draw the nostril because then I kind of have something to go after when it comes to the proportions of the lips, because here I will see what's the distance between the mouth, I guess, and the nostril, and from the nostril to the other nostril, I guess, because this is the other nostril. So I try to see that. Okay, so I think I'm quite happy with how it looks so far. I might change a bit on the ears because they don't really look like his ears. And the thing is, C has really, really small ears. So it probably will look a bit weird because I'm not kidding, they really are small. And in this picture, they actually look big for being, well, his ears. So we'll see what I'll do about that. I don't know yet how I will do. But other than that, I think it looks close. I'm quite happy with the angles now and, well, just how it looks, really. I just want to change this bit. Yeah, that's better. So I think I will start coloring it now, actually. Okay, so now I have, well, filled in the line art, I guess. Or not the line art, but you understand what I mean, I think. And I have the color layer beneath the sketch as usual. And I will lower the opacity on this one because I don't like when my line art is in the way. I usually, take it away once I've started to get some shape into the face. I'm sorry about my English. Yeah, but I usually do that. And now I have started, wouldn't call this actually, I haven't really started to color the horse yet, more than just the base colors. And yet again, I try to look how the colors go on him. So as you can see, the red or orange tones are like on the cheek, on the neck, on the body. The muscle have this grayish tone, and yeah, I don't know what to call this, but I've tried to somewhat map out where different colors are going to be. If that makes sense. It probably doesn't. What a surprise. But so now I think I will start to color him, and we'll see how it goes. Actually, I don't draw C very often because I I think it's difficult. It's probably because I know him and I know exactly how it looks, so I never get I'm never quite happy with the results when I draw him. Especially not when I draw him with color. Because he's really orange, red-ish. Actually, I love his color because I think it's really pretty, especially in the summer because it's almost like, you know, fire or something. But I will start now to color. And as you can see in the beginning, it won't look good. So never expect it to be like, never expect it to go from like, oh, mediocre to suddenly, oh, now it's vibrant and beautiful. You have to work yourself up. Because right now I'm just trying to get the shape of the face and the first layers of colors right. And as I said earlier, I might add some colors to my palette. It depends on how I think it goes, pretty much. Oh, and also, you might be hearing a little puppy cry in the background. Because I'm taking care of it over the day for the owner. And she's not happy to be alone. I have been out with her, so she have no reason to be upset with me, but she is. So, just so you know, I think the owner will be back in about an hour or so, so soon I will have some peace again. Okay, as you can see, I'm trying to match the colors in my palette to the colors that are in the picture of C. So that is kind of what I'm trying to do right now. And I think that this is the most difficult part for me. Because I think it's so. I mean, usually when it comes to other people's horses, I don't have a problem with it. Just when it comes to C, it's like killing me. And the thing is, I don't know how to explain this more than I try to match the colors. Like here, and this part, I see that it's kind of. Wait, where do I have it? Can I draw over that? It's kind of a dark reddish tone. And yeah, that is actually kind of similar. And I'm trying to make it as similar as I can. Although I think it needs to be a bit more red. Okay, so I thought, well, I'm doing this. I'm actually going to answer some questions that I usually get. Um, and one of the questions is like, if I can, how do I do the small details? Yeah, basically, how do I do small details? And the thing is, I work with the small details exactly the same way as I work with the bigger details. Because the thing is, without the like big details that you might not think too much of, I could never add the small details that makes a picture like make it complete somehow. And it's really difficult for me to be like, oh, just do this and it will turn out great. Because it doesn't work that way. The thing is, like I've said before, use a reference. That is a way to learn how to see details and how to work with them. So you have to, if you look at the reference, you see the details. Or you can at least teach yourself. You can teach yourself to see the details. It might not look as good as you want it to be in the beginning, but that's the thing, you need to practice. Because if you don't, I'm sorry, but you won't get anywhere. Because I didn't get good at drawing just by drawing every now and again. I try to draw at least maybe 10 minutes a day. And that makes a big difference. And usually when I work on my bigger projects, once I'm done with them, I usually don't start on a big project right away. Because, first of all, I'm usually kind of tired once I finish a big project, just because it's always something new and something difficult that have had to deal with on it. Um, and I usually don't feel that motivated to draw then, because I just want to rest for a while. And the thing is, once when I'm done with a big project, I like to just sketch, either by hand, like on paper, or in Photoshop. It depends. I think it's kind of good practice to draw on paper, so I actually like to do that. And when I do that, I try to draw something that I don't feel comfortable with. Like, I got a new sketchbook the other day, and in that sketchbook, I promised myself to only draw horse, like, different facial expressions of horses in different angles, and yeah, from different angles basically. And that is incredibly important to do that every once in a while, because I think most of us, we have one pose that we feel more comfortable with than others. For me, except as for example, when it comes to me or myself, I like this pose. That is usually what I draw when I just freehand stuff, because that's what I'm good at, and I think this pose is the prettiest because I like when you can see almost the entire face. But because of that, I actually force myself to not draw that specific pose, because I need to be able to draw other poses as well. And that is what I have my sketchbook for. And I will put the pictures that I have in that now in this video so you can see. But basically, like I said, I try to draw poses that I think they, they don't need to be pretty, they don't need to be something that I like to draw, but I try to find the poses that I know I think is difficult and I know I don't draw very often. And that is a great way to just practice, because you need to practice, okay? You won't get any better if you don't practice. Because that is actually something that really annoys me. It is when people, for some reason, try to find, they want to get better, they want to be good artists, but they're not willing to practice for it. And I'm sorry, but you need to practice if you want to get better. There is no way around that. And if you are some, I don't know, amazing human being that just get better by looking at others' art, well, good for you. But for me at least, I need to practice. I can only speak for myself, I guess. And by practicing, on stuff that I don't feel very comfortable with, I develop with my art and I learn. But you need to be willing to actually work for it. And I know some people they say like, "Oh yeah, but I don't have a drawing tablet and I don't have a program to draw in." And here's the thing. As many of you know, when I started my Instagram account, I didn't have a drawing tablet. And I actually can still say that the drawings that I made without a tablet, with a completely normal mouse, they aren't too bad. Because I practiced and I wanted to be better at it. And of course, it helps if you have a drawing tablet. So yes, I do recommend, if you're able to buy a drawing tablet, because that is the best thing I've ever done. Because it have helped me so much with my art, and it makes everything so much easier. But still, it is possible to make good art without a tablet. And when it comes to programs, yeah, I love Photoshop and I wouldn't trade it for anything else. But when I started drawing, or when I let's put it like this instead. When I drew when I was younger, like 12, 13, 14, I used GIMP, and that worked completely fine. And here's the thing, I do think Photoshop is better than GIMP, but still, GIMP is a good program, and it's, at least in my opinion, fairly simple to use. But that's also something you have to be willing to put some time into, actually, to learn the program, because I hated drawing Photoshop in the beginning. I hated it because I thought it didn't, it just didn't work for me. But then I actually really put my mind into it and was like, okay, I'm going to, teach myself to do this, because obviously it worked for others. And after a while, I got used to the program, and now I love it, and I would never trade it for anything else. Uh, but you can't just be sitting there and expect greatness to come. You have to be willing to work for it. And it may take a while, and you might feel like, oh, but everyone else is so much better, because I feel like that all the time. Just keep on practicing, okay? Try to feel inspired by others instead of just comparing yourself. So that's basically a really long answer how to improve with small details. You need to practice. And the more you draw, the more you will be able to see the small details and know where to put them and know how to add them. Because it's basically exactly the same as the bigger details, or like this. It's just that you need to be able to learn how to see the details and experiment. Just draw. You don't need to draw an entire horse. Maybe focus on one thing, like the eye, or sorry, or like the muscle, the nostril. I don't know, but just practice. Practice on whatever, and really put your mind into it and be like, I'm going to make this my best drawing yet. And don't stop until you're satisfied. And I can honestly say, believe me, sometimes I'm like, it's good enough. But really try to work on your drawings until you're completely satisfied, or as satisfied as you can get. And that will help you. So, yeah, that's my answer. And also, one thing, don't forget to check the details and check the colors. Because most horses, they aren't just brown or red, as my beloved sea here proves. There are so many shades and so many different colors in the coat of horses. So I didn't know if I I don't really know what to say because this is really now I'm really working on details on this eye. And I was thinking that maybe I should have said something while working on it. Well, I'm still working on it, but from the start, but honestly, I don't have much to say. Um Yet again, I used a reference and I put it closer to the picture just because I need to zoom in a lot. So now I really have the reference and the drawing side by side. And I don't know if you guys even thought about it, but just like before I start out with the base colors, I try to get the base colors all right. Then I start to add some details. Like here, I start to add some details and under the eye. And as I like go on, I add more and more details. And that's basically it. And I look at the reference, and something that pissed me off a bit was because was the fact that I had the eye is a bit off when it comes to the angle. It should have tilted up a little bit more. So that pissed me off, but I mean, it's not bad. It's not just it's not terrible, but it I'm a bit annoyed with it. But and as you can see here, I added some highlights. I want to blend them out a bit because yeah, I don't want them to be just blobs. But I also kind of want to have the texture of them left. Because if you look at the eye, it has, I don't know what to call it, but you can see these fine lines. I want them to appear in the drawing as well. Just like I've tried here, there, and under the eye, which I still need to work a bit on because it doesn't look that good. But yes, like I said, I wish kind of like you could see my eyes when I work on this because my eyes goes from this drawing to this picture constantly because I are comparing them to each other. That's kind of what you have to do. You have to compare them and have them side by side to really like look for details. Like, if you see here, I haven't added the shadow here. That should be there. If you look and compare them, you will find either like flaws of things like that you haven't done correctly, or things that doesn't look good, or things that you're not done with. And every time like you sit down to draw, at least in one section of the drawing, really focus on the details, really focus on what you can improve. So yeah, I don't know what to say more than that because it's so difficult to explain it to people that um, aren't there yet. Or maybe just to explain my thoughts because most of the time I don't really think too much when I draw. It's just that over time I have learned to see more details and I have learn to pay more attention to the details, and that is why I have improved so much. Because I will uh, show a video, a photo of the first horse that I drew for my Instagram account, and you can see it there. It's not pretty, is it? And I drew that like not even, I think, 12 or 13 months ago. I drew that picture. And if you compare that to this, I could say that I actually have improved quite a lot. But like I said earlier, that is because I have practiced. I've practiced almost every day. And that is the only way I know to get better, to learn and stuff like that. But it's not, you can do it if you really put your mind into it. But the thing is, you really have to be willing to let it take some time, because you won't be a star in the beginning. And if you are, well, lucky you. I'm not that type of person, so I'm a bit jealous of that. But just don't give up. And like I said, you don't have to draw an entire drawing or an entire picture every day, but try to draw something. That is what I can recommend. And I'm going to continue this drawing and not talking, so we'll see when I check in again. Okay, so I'm working on a muscle at the moment, and I realized that this is actually kind of perfect to show you what I mean when it comes to working your way towards the small details. Because, like I said, I'm working on a muscle, and right now get, I'm trying to bring these details out. And when I do that, I usually just map out kind of where the highlights go, like I've done. You can see that line goes there, and that should be over there. And this little thing here is that thing. And I try to make sure that it's in the right position. And this line there, there, that line there is there. This line there is there. I hope you kind of see what I'm pointing at. So, like I said, I'm just roughly mapping it out to where I want it to be. And I don't work too much. I don't do that much in the beginning. So I start out with the highlights to know where I want it to be. Then I start with the shadows, and I look at the reference where the shadows are supposed to be going. I can see, just do that. I don't do anything more than this right now. I just want to map out the basic, I guess. So I do that. And also, as you can see, here it will shift in color there. So I'm going to do that as well. And you can see that I already slightly done that before, but now I really bring it out. And make sure that the transition between the gray-ish color and the red or orange or whatever we're supposed to call it, that is as smooth as possible. I don't want any sharp edges. And that was a bit too bright, so I will change slightly. I will go over with a slightly darker color, or duller color, really. And I look at the reference, and here, where the shadow is, you can see that it's kind of turning to a reddish brown. Reddish, that is something else. But yeah, slightly more red, so I'm doing that very lightly. Same thing here. The transition between these colors are even that out a bit, like so. And that is also, it's more brown than red, so I will pick up the color that I seem fit and just slightly go over it. There we go. So now you can kind of see where everything is supposed to be going. And now I will start blending the colors a bit more. And as you can see, I did draw the highlights a bit. The highlighted area is a bit bigger than they actually are. And now, when I are blending it out, that doesn't really matter because I will dry the colors over the highlights, if that makes sense. So now it's kind of right, although it's a sharper edge there. There we go. And I will do this over everything with my eyes on the reference as well, just to make sure that I'm doing everything right. Here, it's not as big there, the highlights. There's kind of a sharp edge between this highlighted streak and a nostril, so I'm going to draw that out. There we go. And continue on blending. And I can see that that's the nostril, and this highlighted streak is just in line there. in line with the right before the nostril just fades out. If that makes sense. And so, like I said, I will just blend this out a bit, and I will check for new details to add. Like there, it's a little line there, if you can see, that I want to add. There we go. How does it look? It looks okay. I'm still in the beginning of this process. And here I see a little highlight, so I will add that, and it goes over that line. I don't know if you understand what I mean when I say that line, but I hope you do. And if not, well, I can't really help that. I'm doing my best. But now I feel like I have explained something. So I will continue working by myself, and I will check in with you guys when I think it might be good. Okay, so now I am almost done with this drawing. Uh, there are some things that I wish that I had done differently in the beginning, mainly in the line art. As you can see now, I changed a bit in the neck because it didn't look like him at all. And something that I wish that I had done differently, first of all, the forehead. Because the angles were a bit off, but I think it's not the worst thing. I think the muscle is too big, which annoys me, but it is what it is. It's a bit too big. His face is not as his face is a bit longer also, but still. If it wasn't because I had the reference, if I look at this picture, it looks like my horse, but side by side, I'm a bit annoyed that I didn't see this earlier. And usually, I can fix this. I can go in and alter with the size of the muscle, but I don't want to do that because it's good practice, and I will let it be the way it is. Although it really annoys me. But, well, I'm basically done. I want to draw the background and then I want to just fix a few details around the eye. And I thought I would just show you one thing. So, the details that I want to fix around the eye is mainly that I want this line here, I want it to be more rounded. Because now it looks flat. And if you, especially if you compare these two. So I will add a bit of shading to it and see if I can get it. See there, it's starting to be a bit more round, which is what I want. There we go. And same thing with the line right under. And it fades out a bit, fades into the highlight goes in under the shadow. So I want to make sure that it looks like that. And it's not perfect, but I think that will do for this. So this is basically what I come up with. I'm really annoyed with the muscle. I wish that I had changed it when I started on this because I saw that earlier. I actually saw it once I first just filled in the horse. So I'm really annoyed by that, but at the same time, eh, it's a decent drawing. I'm quite happy with the details I put into it, but I don't like this drawing, to be honest. Just because I'm so frustrated and so irritated that I I never learned. I should have fixed it while I was drawing the line art because I think I actually saw that then too, but I was like too lazy to fix it. Anyway, that is all that I can come with. I will obviously draw the background, but I won't check in again. Because, yeah. I don't have anything more to say. I don't have anything else to say. And I hope that some of this, some of what I've been saying in this video has been helpful. Although I highly doubt it. But there you go. And thank you for watching.